welcome to the show. I'm so excited that you're here and I can't wait to chat more about branding on social media with you. So, before we dive into talking all about branding, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business and just how you got started doing it all.
Hi, Jenny. I'm so excited to be here today. My name is Lindsey Aleson of Blog Me Lovely, and I'm a graphic designer and tech strategist for female infopreneurs and content creators looking to banish their fears of tech and design, feel empowered, and stand out online. And I think I got started in business probably June of 2016, but I like to say I really started just June of this past year because that's when I really went full time. I had quit my job by then and just really was focusing on it like 24/7. And that's pretty much kind of my story. But I've been blogging since, I don't know, 2010 maybe, though you won't find a blog because I'm notorious for changing my mind. But just I've kind of fell in love with the online space and finally decided to just go forward and start a business.
That's awesome. I'm the same way. I was on Zynga and Tumblr and all that stuff back then.
Mm-hmm.
More of like a personal diary than an actual blog because I would just be like, here's what happened today. All stupid, but yeah, my evidence is gone too because that was embarrassing.
Yeah, I know.
But hey, I mean, it's cool. We've been online for what, 7 years?
I know it's crazy. It's crazy to think about that it's been that long, and things have changed so much in those few years.
Yeah, it went from basically telling your life story to being more of a general storyteller and
Hmm.
able to share your story with people without just saying, here's what I did today.
Yeah, and there's so much more that goes into it nowadays. Like before, you could like write, I don't know, so many posts in one day just because you're like updating, and now they have to be so thought out and so like, I mean, at least if you want to do it professionally, you can still do it personally, but
Yeah,
as a business.
exactly. Yeah, it takes a lot. It's like writing, graphics, you know, editing, all those,
Hmm.
and then promoting is really big too, because if you don't promote it, who's going to see it?
I know that's such a huge one.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about branding and specifically on social media. I know you're an expert at that and you like to keep it cohesive across the board and you're really good at that.
Hmm.
So, tell us a little bit about, branding and how you manage to do that on social media, keep your brand consistent, not only with your design, but also your messaging and things like that.
Hmm. Yeah, so you kind of touched on it a little bit. Branding is so much more than just say your logo or something like that. That's normally when people are looking for branding, they associate it with a logo, but it is so much more than that. It's your fonts, it's your colors. It's not only the visual aspects like your social media graphics and the look of your site or your header images, but also the words you use, the messaging, the name of your packages, and even your interactions with people on social media, with your customers, with your readers. It's kind of like the all-encompassing package. And I totally forgot to have the note of the quote with me, but I forgot who says it, but branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room, type thing. So there's some things you have in your control and there's others you don't. And the visual aspects, especially on social media, is one of those things you do have control over.
For sure, yeah. And if you don't keep it consistent, then people are like, well, what is this person all about? Like, I know when I first started my blog, I was just kind of all over the place. I was like, oh, this looks
Mhm.
nice. I like this font and I like this color. So we're going to do it this time. And the next time we're going to do a different color. And it's like, in the grand scheme of things, my graphics weren't horrible, but they just
Mhm.
didn't go together. They were just kind of all over the place. So,
Yeah, and on social media, it tends to be one of the first places people find you,
mhm.
especially nowadays. Like Facebook is probably the big one, but there's also Instagram and Pinterest. And so you want to make sure you make a good first impression. And when you have consistent branding, visuals, and messaging, it builds the know, like, and trust factor. And if you're constantly changing the look, every week, or what you're saying every single week, like you said, people are going to go, what does this girl do? Or what are you doing? And it's not going to make sense. And they're not going to know what to expect from you. They're not going to know what you do, and it causes confusion. And branding's there to let people know what you do. So it's really easy to figure out if they want to work with you, if they're a right fit, what you offer, and all that good stuff.
Exactly. And I know I've seen people in the online space that are pretty, they're out there visibly, get their name out there and stuff, but it seems like their offerings differ a lot. So they'll change it from one week to the next. And I think that's kind of confusing because it's like, what do you actually do? Like, are you this or are you that? Or do you do it all? Like, are you a jack of all trades?
Hmm.
So it's
I definitely think it's confusing.
yeah, it can definitely make people like kind of question your expertise. So I think it's important to
Hmm.
just keep everything consistent. And like if you want to introduce new things, it should be gradual, essentially, not really like, here's what I do. And then
Hmm.
next week you're like, okay, I do this too. It should just come over time versus, every other week you're relaying a different service or message.
I agree. I mean, it's confusing to your customers. So, um, like if you go back in the foundational things of branding, you kind of figure out why you're in business, the services you offer, and when you create your mission statement and all that, like really foundational work. That's where you kind of pinpoint what services you can be offering, and it's okay to evolve as you grow in business, but changing every week, every month, like jumping around, it doesn't make sense. And like I said, you can't be an expert in everything. Like I love to talk about branding and I do my own branding, but I don't like to offer it to consumers or to my customers. I know what I enjoy doing is like ebooks and webinar sites and that type of stuff. And while I love to teach it and I will be making a course on it, it's not something I like to offer. And if I decided to offer it, I know I would be doing my clients a disservice only because that's not where I'm exactly passionate about. And I like to take existing brands and just make them, into usable marketing pieces. So you need to figure out what you're best at and then let that shine through your branding and your messaging. And it'll be much clearer to your possible clients and consumers rather than changing every other week and they just don't know what you are, because then you can't be an expert in anything.
Exactly. It's like a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And you have to be
Hmm.
master in something. Like for me, obviously, my expertise is social media and blogging as well. So everything I do is around social media and blogging, whether it's strategy, management, coaching,
Hmm.
it's all related to those things. So it's important because, even though those are all different things, they're all kind of um, correlated somehow. Oops.
Hmm. But you even have your favorites. So you even specialize in the ones that you're best at and that you enjoy the most, even though you can do it all.
Yeah, exactly.
So it really helps to kind of niche down a little bit, just so you're not servicing everyone. And your branding helps you attract the right clients too. So that's important. Like with your messaging and stuff, you talk more about Instagram and Pinterest because that's what you enjoy doing, even though you know about Facebook and everything else.
Hmm.
And so you're going to naturally attract the people who are drawn to that. And with your colors and your images and the words and everything you use, you're going to attract females because that's who you want to attract.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's so important to be cohesive on who you want to attract, the kind of clients you want, from I guess a more demographic side point to also the type of businesses they have and the type of work you want to do. It's like branding is so much more than just a logo, and it helps you attract the right clients and readers.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I guess people, if men like pink, they might decide to work with me, but that's probably like gonna be a very rare thing. But yeah, I mean, definitely my target audience is women primarily. If there's a man interested in working with me, that's fine too. But
Hmm.
I mean, I've worked with restaurants and they weren't female led, but it's just um, that's who I really do prefer to work with and want to attract. So it's
Hmm.
nice to, already relay that message when I'm just designing my graphics, not just, you don't have to like read my copy to know that that's who I'm probably looking to attract.
Yeah, and you actually said it great because when you brand and you target, you're kind of targeting like one person. I like to focus on one person, and then it kind of branches out. So you're not just going to attract that one person. It's going to gradually branch out, and you might attract people you didn't think you would. Just because you're not targeting somebody doesn't mean they might not still find you or like you. You just want to get really intentional about the people that you want to work with and what they like.
Hmm.
So that's the majority of the people you're attracting. Like I've had a guy client as well that's not normally who I attract. But they find you different ways. But the majority of my clients are female creative entrepreneurs because that's who I'm mainly targeting, and it's clear in all of my messaging, and I'm pink as well, and sparkles.
Yeah.
If you're watching the video, I have a sparkle backdrop. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we can attract those people, but that's not
mhm,
who we're primarily targeting. And I mean, are you one of those people that creates like a brand profile for your person? Like I've done that in the past and it felt so weird, like crafting the person that I want to target. Like I even named them and stuff and made up a name,
mhm,
live. And it's just, I think it really helped me gain clarity on who I wanted to work with. I mean, obviously my target audience doesn't have to live in this exact location that I specified,
mhm,
but just kind of what they're doing right now, where they're at in life, their age demographic, that.
mhm.
Do you have that for your brand as well? Or something?
I do. So I like to see how different people do it different ways. So some people tell you to create an imaginary person, kind of pull all of the traits that you kind of want. Other people tell you to pick just one real life person, and that's actually what I prefer to do. And funny enough, when I was going through a program, I picked you as my ideal client, and this was actually before we worked together, and then like shortly after, like we did work together. So, but yeah, so and I think I like to attract people who are similar to me. So it's also kind of easy. Some people, it's kind of okay if your ideal client is maybe yourself, like a few steps back as well. And like you said, like you can put the location, obviously all of my people aren't going to live where you live, but it's just, you kind of want to learn their habits, where they spend their time during the day, which is really where social media comes in, because I'm sure as online entrepreneurs, you're going to be on social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. So you kind of figure out where they're spending their time, what works best for you. And as creative entrepreneurs, we don't brand like so like rigid as some of the bigger companies do. So you can kind of infuse your personality. Like cats is big in for me, so my cats will make appearances on my live streams, and I'll talk about my cats. They're not a huge thing because my business isn't a cat business, obviously, but they're kind of infused. So you can kind of figure out, like, I know you love your dog, you were in a sorority, and like that type of stuff. So you can kind of pinpoint things that you might relate with, and like that they're going to be attracted to.
Exactly. And then
Type.
adding in like things like your cats and like behind the scenes type of things also humanizes your brand.
Mm-hmm.
You seem more relatable and real. You're not just like a person living this fantasy life that no one knows. Like you're able to make those connections and build that like known trust factor quicker, because you're actually revealing your true self, not just
Mm-hmm.
being some person behind the screen that is unattainable.
Yeah, especially through video, because then they can actually see you and hear you, and you're not because I mean, you could Google photos, and be some random person online if you never like talk or have video or anything. So video, I feel, is coming up more and more in branding. And even if you go to some like bigger company websites, like if their face of the brand is their CEO, a lot of times they'll even have a video of the CEO, like giving a message or something like that. So video is growing in branding, and how you dress, or like I'm not that put together today. I did put on a little bit of makeup since I knew we were filming, but sometimes I'll just go in like yoga. I have yoga pants on right now. You just can't see the bottom of me, but it's like business on top, fun on the bottom.
Exactly.
But I forgot where I was going with this. I tend to ramble, but it's just, it brings a human element to it. But even like, you don't always have to be so like perfect, I guess, if that's not your brand. Like I know there's some people who are always put together, but even Marie Forleo, I know like her Marie TV, she's always put together, but it's more of a production. But she just started doing a behind the scenes thing, and she has her hair up in a bun and no makeup on, and you see her working out with her husband and in the car. So it just really brings a human aspect to the brand in a different way. And it's still her. I mean, she is her brand, like through and through. You can totally tell, but it doesn't always have to be 100% perfect when you're like in video or photos.
I don't know. I'm sure you've probably heard about this, but the Imperfect Boss campaign, I think that's really
Mm-hmm.
because that's that girl's, Ashley, I think her name is. I'm not sure her last name, but that's like her thing. Like everyone has imperfections, and everyone is, everyone. It's not just the highlight reel like it is on Instagram or all the other social medias. So I think that's really cool that Ashley incorporates that into her own branding. Like,
Mm-hmm.
not everything's perfect, so let's all celebrate being imperfect.
Yeah, and I know it's a hot topic. Like some people are like, don't go on, like, do a Facebook Live, like, with a horrible background or busy or your kids running around or no makeup. People are going to think you're a slob. I disagree.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
I
it's a little messy.
yeah, my life is messy. You can't see the video again, but my cat's popping up in this video. My house is a disaster. I'm for once not working from the couch. It's just like I like to show more of my real life, and that's part of my brand. I mean, if your brand is perfect and you're always, that's totally okay too. That's just, it doesn't have to be that way. So just don't feel it has to be that way. But if that is you, that's fine as well.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, we'll steer a little bit more towards branding. I mean, it kind of
Mhm.
was on that topic, but not necessarily. So, what is your number one tip for just keeping your brand cohesive across the board on social media and things like that?
Mhm. So creating templates, that is a huge one. I personally use Photoshop, but I know Canva works as well too. And I mean, that's kind of easy if you're on the go because you can do it from your phone.
Hmm.
But just creating templates. So for me, I have 3 brand colors: pink, purple, and blue. And I have templates created in each of the colors. And I have it for Pinterest. It's also my blog size, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So every single time I go to create a new blog post, I just open up a template, whichever color I'm going to use, and change the photos and the words. And I know the colors, the fonts, and everything, you know, are on brand. They're right. It saves you time. And that way, when you share graphics, they're already branded. And even for my Facebook group, it's not the same colors, but I created templates for that. I think I have 2 or 3. So whenever I create a new post in it that I want a graphic, I just go open up one of the templates and I don't have to recreate it. The colors are there, the fonts are there, the backgrounds are there. And it saves you so much time, and it takes out the guesswork because most of the work is done for you. And it's even easier if you don't have photos. Like, I use photos, but if you don't have photos, you don't even have to worry about picking a cohesive photo. But like, I know a lot of us, I'm a hot stock. They just changed their name. So a hot stock member, and I know that their photos tend to be on my brand, like 90% of them. So I know if I go in there, I'm going to find a photo that relates to my brand, that speaks to my audience. But they're more for female entrepreneurs. Maybe that's not your thing. Maybe you can find a different stock site or buy some stock photos that are on brand. So you kind of have a library on your computer that you can just kind of rotate in as needed.
I actually subscribe to Hot Stock as well and the Styled Stock Society because I am not a good photographer. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I try, but yeah, definitely don't want to be taking my photos all the time. So yeah, those are really good sites to check out if you're looking for styled stock photos because and you're girly and feminine, like they have all the colors you could ever ask for. Like
Mm-hmm.
basically any brand color. I mean, unless you have a super obscure brand color, they probably have your colors. So if you're not wanting to take your own photos, definitely check those out. I'll leave them in the show notes for you to look at.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, that's great. I mean, templates have been a lifesaver for me. I have them, ones that you made for me, of course. And then I also have ones that I got on Canva as well, just so I can, switch it up. So I have different things going on. Another thing that I think is cool I don't know if you do this, but I do it. And whenever I do a different topic on my blog, I'll use a different color. So for social media, it's always pink. For business tips, it is the navy color in my
Mm-hmm.
palette. And then for blogging, I switch between the light blue and gold. So those two.
Mm-hmm.
I can use all 4 of my colors, and each post is designated for a different color. I mean, I didn't have to do it that way, but if you only write about 3 or 4 topics and you have 3 or 4 colors, then you could do that as well to further differentiate.
Mm-hmm. I actually don't do that only because you have a more solid content strategy than I do. So right now that kind of doesn't work for me. So I just rotate. I don't remember what I said with, I think it's like pink, purple, blue, or pink, blue, purple. And then it just kind of rotates. So I just go look on my blog, look at what the last 2 colors were. And then, if they were purple and blue, I know I create a pink one. I probably going to do a rebrand of my site.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is, I know we're recording this in November, and I think it's going to launch in January.
Yes.
But hopefully in December or maybe January, I'll have a rebrand complete. And I think I'm going to use like icons to differentiate it, but I think it'll be, I don't want to say more monotoned, but it'll have, I'm thinking more like blush-like. So there won't be such a variety of colors that I have. So I won't be able to do it that way, but I think I'm going to do little fun icons on each post to kind of differentiate. And I need to tidy up my categories just so it's cleaner
Mhm.
and easier for the readers to know. But I think the colors are a great way as well, because your readers will be able to to associate your blog topic with the color, and that is another kind of way to brand it, just like with I might do with the icons. So there's a few ways to do it like that. If you have a big variety of topics, that might not work as well. That might be a bit too much work, because you can't have like a ton of colors. I like to stick to 3 or 4 colors. Branding wise, I mean, you can have a few smaller accent, colors possibly. I've seen up to like 6 in color palettes, but you're gonna only have like maybe 3 or 4 main colors. So
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do that on my lifestyle blog because
mm-mm,
there's a lot going on. There's travel, beauty, fashion,
mm-hmm,
general lifestyle, like too many. But I just stick to different, like my regular color palette, and just write like a little tag that says lifestyle or something. That's how I separate it too. So it's like,
mm-hmm.
it's a lifestyle related post and that kind of thing. So yeah, that is great. So you talked a little bit about your favorite tools for designing social media graphics. Do you have any other tools that you really like that help you with branding or just designing in general?
Yeah, so I'll talk more about my favorite resources. So obviously, Photoshop is my favorite tool to design in for my social media graphics. Some people use Illustrator. Like
Mhm.
if you're going to go to the Adobe products, I work better in Photoshop. If you're going to do, like say an ebook or something, I like InDesign. Yes, you can do all of these in Canva. I don't know the restrictions on Canva for pages or anything, so I can't talk to that. I'm an Adobe person, but like to find photos, we talked about hot stock. I know you mentioned styled stock.
Yeah, Style Talk
Uh,
Society. Yeah.
I also like looking on Creative Market for paid ones, just because they have more of a variety. Like, I mean, you could go to Shutterstock or something, but I feel they have more of the, like the people holding the microphone, like the tacky
Yeah.
stock photo type
Yeah.
stuff,
That are
even though they're getting better.
super unrealistic. Like, yeah, there's a
Mm-hmm.
guy holding a microphone or a guy like, staring in his office. Like it's just stupid,
Mm-hmm.
like super cheesy to me. So
Yeah, and I know some people use that for their brands and they use it really, really well. That's just no, I know that's not either one of us. So it's just like, and there's a chance that might not be you either. So if you want more styled photos, the two we mentioned, or Creative Market. For fonts, I also like Creative Market, or I think it's called the Hungry JPEG.
uh-huh. Yeah, I know.
I like that one. And if for like little icons, there's something called the Noun Project.
Mm-hmm.
I pay for the pro version. I think it's only like $9.99 a month. And that way I don't have to credit it. And there's actually I don't want to say it's not a plugin, but I can pull it into Photoshop and have the icons go right there. So I don't have to like search online. I can actually search in Photoshop. So those are kind of my favorites. But even you could download an icon from the Noun Project and upload it to Canva. You would
Yeah.
have to, I think, color it right first.
Yeah.
But because I like the little icons, because I'm not an illustrator. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm a designer, but I'm not an illustrator. So like anything like hand drawn, I did draw a cute little cast iron fan for a client for one of her logos, and that was fun. But illustrating's not my thing, and I think that's totally okay. But like those are some of my like go-to resources if I need stuff. And Creative Market has everything too, so even more than that, you could probably find pre-made social media templates, pre-made logos, pre-made, you know I
Themes.
think, yes, thank you, WordPress themes and stuff like that. So it is a great resource.
Yeah, I love Creative Market. I feel like I'm always spending money on there.
I know, me too.
So in terms of fonts, we didn't really talk about this much, but like how do you recommend that people kind of select their fonts for their brand? Because I mean, I know I have like a sans serif and a script that go together and like they look nice for both of my brands. But just so people kind of have an idea of how to choose fonts, because I know people that have a lot of problems figuring out like what fonts do I even use?
hmm So there's a lot that goes into picking fonts, but obviously you need to know your ideal audience first. Like if your audience isn't girly, you're not going to pick a script font. And even within script fonts, there is a wide variety. So it's like, I hate to do such a blanket, topic, but normally they tend to be more frilly
Mm-hmm.
type stuff. So you need to think about your audience. You need to think about legibility first also, where you're going to use the fonts. Like, so before you even think about pairing them, you need to think where you're going to use them. Because if it's going to be small and it's a script font and you can't read it, you can't use that font anyways, because it wouldn't make sense. People won't be able to read it. So those are kind of like before you even start thinking. And then I like to pair two different types, like a script and a sans serif. You can even do a script and a serif. If you don't know, serifs are the ones that have the little
Tail.
dangly tails. Thank you. Tails on them, and the sans serifs don't. I think online, sans serif is more like legible for text. So for like online stuff, sans serif for like big bodies of text is typically what you should choose, whereas it's opposite for print. For bodies of text and print, serif fonts are more legible.
Like Times New Roman and things like that are more.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it's just, sometimes you just got to play, because I can't even just say a serif font and a sans serif font, because you have to think about weight too. So sometimes pairing two really thin don't go together at all. Sometimes it does. It's one of those things where you just kind of have to play. There are times where you look at something and it just doesn't fit. Sometimes you don't know why, but maybe the weight's off. And I know this isn't a very like defined answer, but like pairing fonts, like for your logo for this one, I think I spent about an hour playing with fonts before I decided on which ones like looked best. And like I had different variations before I sent you them. And when I found like the font combination, I'm just like, I think this is it. I'm just not even going to send the other ones, because I spent so much time and I love this combination. And I'm like, well, crap, now I can't use it for myself because I just did it for your podcast.
Yeah.
But just because I know we do two different things, and we have like a similar style, so it's really easy to design for you, because normally if I like it, you're going to like it, and probably vice versa. But yeah, it's kind of just trial and error. Don't do two really thick fonts together, that normally, because you want some contrast.
Yeah.
But normally doing like a script and a sans serif, or maybe a serif and a sans serif, just to kind of add some variety. It just adds some character to it. But once again, it's really trial and error. Ask for different people's opinions. Normally, that'll help, because sometimes you think it doesn't look right, or you think it does, and maybe somebody will say, well, it's kind of off.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people do that in Facebook groups. They're like A or B, and then there's like a overwhelming amount of people that are like, I like A. So it's like, all right, well, clearly that's what most people are resonating with. So that's probably what your audience will resonate as well. But yeah, so those are great tips. I mean, I'm not like a font guru or anything. I just kind of like play with them. I'm like, okay, these look nice. Time to go, and which is obviously why I outsourced. I was like, I don't even want to deal with this. Like picking a logo to me is just like, no, I mean, I could figure it out, but it would take me a lot longer than it takes you. So,
yeah.
Okay. Well, so I have 3 questions that I'm going to start asking everyone at the end of the episode. So you're going to be my first person that I'm doing this for, because clearly I didn't think of the idea sooner, but now I'm like, okay, I can do this. So the first one is, what does it mean to you to be an entrepreneur, and like, what's your favorite part about being your own boss, essentially?
So freedom. And I know that sounds so cliche, but I just like to be home with my cats, be able to spend time with my family, not have to ask for time off for the holidays, or I have asthma. It's been pretty good actually since I quit. I think when I was at my last job, I was just so stressed that anxiety was kind of causing my health problems rather than my actual asthma. But not asking for time off to go to the doctor, because with the health problems, it's quite often, and they just, sometimes your work, they just start to think of you kind of as an inconvenience, or is she really going to the doctor, type thing. And
she just tells me she's going to the doctor, but she's actually going to Disneyland,
I know, yeah, exactly. Or like, so the freedom. So and I'm not a morning person, so that's another thing. So I can wake up when I want. I think today I woke up at 10. I know that's a little bit late, but I was snuggling with the kitties and being able to work when I want to. Like I said, I'm not a morning person. So I do my best work um, kind of late afternoon into the evening.
Me too.
And I can't do that at a job. And when you're at like a physical job, you're normally kind of like pinholed into what to work on. Like at my last job, overall, it was still probably the best job I ever had. There was just some things that kind of, emerge and all this kind of stuff. I won't go into it, but it just kind of changed a bit. But when the merger went down, I was already kind of at a point where I was starting to learn more. I was reading like Rich Dad Poor Dad and like those type of books where you're starting your mindset starting to change a bit and realize that working a 9 to 5 job and spending that hour each way commuting and getting 2 weeks vacation a year,
Mm-hmm.
just because that's the norm doesn't mean it has to be for you. So like all these things were changing, my mindset started changing, and I was just like, screw this. It's like, I need more time for myself. I know when I work best. I know I want to learn a variety of different things, spend time with the kitties. I know you'll hear me say that a lot. They're my babies. And they really enjoy that I'm home. And it's just nice. Like my mom took the week of Thanksgiving off. And since I was off too, which I didn't have to ask, I was just already off. I got to spend time with her and baking and making her watch Harry Potter and, just all this fun stuff. So it's just really the freedom. And also I feel like you can make more on your own once you get obviously you have to work to get to this certain level. But once you get there, like I feel it's much easier. Like obviously I'm not there yet. I see it in my sights though. And I just, know, and you just have more freedom and you can take your kids on vacation or stuff like that. And it's just more relaxing.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The funny part about everything is like I'm not a morning person either. And on my old job, neither was my boss, clearly, because she would come in at like 10:30 every day, but then she'd stay super late. But she'd also kind of like decide at 4 p.m., oh, let me give you all the work. And, the whole day I'm sitting there like, I'm finished with stuff. And then at 4 p.m., she slams me with all this work. And it's like, but this is not the schedule. Like the schedule is 8 to 5 or 8:30 to 5, not 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., So it's like, it was just funny. I was like, man, she should be her own boss with the way she works. Cause, you can't assign someone work at 4 p.m. Like,
No, and
done.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand.
And I'm not a morning person, so it's like I would go into work, obviously. I wasn't coming in super late. So it's just kind of funny. I'm just like, here's my boss. Like she's following her own schedule, but that's not really how it works. Because
I know.
I'm gonna leave at 5 regardless. Like I've been there all day. Sorry you haven't been. Yeah, it's funny. It's like, oh, I wish I could come in at 10. Then this job would be a little more appealing to me. But yeah. So that's really funny. But yeah, I totally agree. Freedom has been amazing. Like I've gone on vacations here and my husband's been able to accompany me, even though he does have like only 2 weeks a year. He can roll over time, So he usually ends up having like a month off, but he doesn't actually take it all at once. It's just like selectively throughout the year. But it's been nice because we've been able to vacation and do things, and I can take my dog to the vet in the middle of the day instead of having to fight everyone on the weekend. He was a puppy, so he was going to the vet a lot. So so it was nice to just handle that on a random Wednesday in the middle of the day versus going at 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. after I get off work. So yeah, I totally agree with the freedom part, and I'm not to the point where I feel like I have a lot of freedom because I'm still working a lot to build my business. But I know once I am able to either outsource things or just take on less work and charge higher rates, then that will definitely change. And I'm sure it will be the exact same for you. So
exactly, it is. It's like sometimes the vets too. The vet is a huge thing. But like sometimes I'll just decide to take a day off. Like obviously when I don't have client work due, because obviously client work comes first. But like sometimes I just have stuff to do, but nothing's like done. I'll be like, yeah, I'll take the day off and go to Disneyland. And it's just nice. But you're right. Like I'm still probably working over 40 hours a week on client work and my own stuff. But I'm happier doing it because I'm doing it from the comfort of my own home, snuggling with the kitties, and sleeping in.
What you do. You don't have to just do stuff that's assigned to you. You don't have to accept a client if you don't want to. I mean, I'm sure we're both at the stage in our business where it's hard to pass up work, but we're not working to attract those people that we don't want to attract. So the people that we don't want to work with are few and far between. So.
Exactly.
So yeah, okay, that was a long-winded answer from both of us. But let's dive on to number two. So, what's your favorite tool that you use in your business? It can be anything from like email marketing to, your accounting software or anything like that. Just like what really helps you in your business save time.
It would be Dubsado. So it is the platform. I think it's technically a CRM system. I don't know. They're working on it to make it more robust. It's a newer program. I've had it for over a year. I just rebought the year, so it'll be my second year on it. Literally this month in November that we're recording this. But I send my invoices. I get paid through it. I send my contracts. So I have my contract template that I update when I need to. You can email people through it if you want, and then it keeps track of it in there. I can create client portals. I can create workflows. They're working on the bookkeeping side of it, but at least right now I can import and look at some charts, but they're making it more robust. They're going to be adding a scheduling side to it. So like it would replace Acuity or Calendly. So I'm waiting for that to be put in. Hopefully it'll be there by the time this recording goes live. I can't be positive, but that's like 2 months away. They are working on it. And I definitely don't use it to the fullest of its ability right now. Like, I think the only thing I do have in there right now is a contract that I need to edit way too much each time. So part of my work towards the end of the year will be to get my workflows in place, my emails I want to like send out each time, maybe an invoice or a stage of the project. So I'm redoing my packages. And then just my different contracts for the different packages done so I don't have to edit it so heavily. And that's going to save me so much time. And I'm creating workflows for clients right now, and it's really the kick in the butt for me to do it for myself because it'll save me so much time. And it's really not that expensive of a product for all that you get. And the support team is fantastic. It's a husband and wife. And I think their younger son was the one who came up with the name Dubsado or whatever. So it's a really cute story. And they're just an awesome team. And they're really fast to answer either through email or in their Facebook group. So that's my favorite tool.
I like Dubsado a lot too. And I'm kind of waiting for the bookkeeping and scheduling stuff to come in there because, I use Acuity and then I also use Fresh. But I want to just kind of have everything in one place because I'm paying, X amount here and X amount there every month. And it'd be nice to just pay one amount and then not have to worry about the extra thing. So I'm definitely looking forward to those. And I hope that they are, really in-depth features so that I can really feel comfortable letting go of my two tools for that. Okay. So lastly, who is your go-to business resource? Like just like a person that you're like, wow, she or he knows it all. Like, I just feel like they're very knowledgeable and, someone who you just really have learned a lot from.
Okay, so I'm not going to do like a typical like big online business person. So I actually have two different people, and they're smaller and they're coaches. So I really like Anna Franson of the Heart Centered Entrepreneur. So that's her Facebook group. And I've been in a mastermind with her, and she's just super sweet, and she kind of helps you get to the root of the problems without like really being in your face. And the business, so I think our mastermind started, it was June through this November. And so it's going to end today actually, because it's November 30th. So I'm very, very sad. But through the 6 months, just the evolution of my business, I mean, I'm consistently making an income now. We've talked through things and just kind of the accountability. And like, if I have questions or need feedback, she's always there. And then also, Courtney Nicole Davis, she just got married, or Courtney J, her Facebook group. Oh, she's changed the name a few times. I can't remember the name of her Facebook group right now. She's more in your face though. So it's like they're kind of a good balance. So she's more not going to take your crap. If you have excuses, she's not the coach for you. And, I need that, because sometimes I get in my own way. But then she's also like, when I had issues with my dad or with the cat, she's like, those are legitimate reasons why, stuff didn't get done. So, but she's more in your face, and she has a collective called Led to Leadership. So I bought a membership to that. So we meet every Sunday or Monday. There's like a group of ladies. So I like to so Courtney and Anna, so those are kind of like my go-to. They're much smaller. They're not like huge, like big names, but, I really like both of them because it's more individual, attention, and you can really, really talk to them. So.
And the reason I asked that question is because I like to always know who people get inspiration from and people that I could potentially ask to be a guest on the podcast. So
Hmm.
thank you for those answers. Because yeah, it'll be, I know of Anna, but I'm not familiar with Courtney. So it's definitely good to kind of branch out and see what other people I can learn from and start getting inspiration from. But yeah,
Hmm.
that is basically the end, but just tell us where we can find you, like your Facebook group and your social media handles and all that stuff.
Okay, so online, my website is Blog Me Lovely, so www.blogmelovely.com. And then I think all of my handles on, like Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter is just at Blog Me Lovely, so like Facebook/Blog Me Lovely. And let me see. So my Facebook group, the Lovely Entrepreneur Society, it's for female entrepreneurs. And you can actually just go to the lovelyentrepreneurssociety.com and it'll direct you to the Facebook group just to make it easy. So those are the places where you can find me.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest, Lindsey. It was a pleasure having you, and I enjoyed getting to talk with you about branding and then just kind of random stuff because we're actually friends in real life. So it made it for a little bit more, easier to talk to and not just strictly on topic.
Yeah, I got a little sidetracked, but that's okay.
I think it'll be enjoyable. But yeah, thank
Mhm.
you so much, and I really appreciate you for being on the show. And
Yeah.
thanks, guys. I will talk to you next time.